This is Chuck Rapp with Multiply, a podcast to provide a word of encouragement for village church planters and leaders. We continue our series on steward leadership. Today I want to provide some additional instruction regarding something that I shared about 2 weeks ago. A steward is defined as someone who manages resources belonging to another person in order to achieve the owner's objectives. In our context, we are managing resources and exercising the authority provided by the Lord for our village church planting work. Here again is the recent prayer of one of my fellow OMS regional directors. Lord, please help us steward the authority entrusted to us. In my past 2 episodes, I shared these instructions to leaders from Titus chapter 2, verse 15. These then are the things you should teach. Encourage and rebuke with all authority. Do not let anyone despise you. Well, as I pondered Paul's instruction, I asked myself some questions. Under what circumstances are leaders to rebuke with all authority? In what situations should leaders refrain from rebuking someone? And when it is necessary to rebuke, how should we do this? And lastly, what does Paul mean when he says we should rebuke with all authority? Firstly, a rebuke is correction to someone who is wrong in their teaching and or their behavior. The purpose of a godly rebuke is to lead them back to the truth. It is not to shame them. Good and godly leaders must be willing to rebuke others in order to restore them and or to protect others who may be negatively impacted in the situation. Next, I would suggest that there are some times when we should hold back from rebuking. In general, I believe that there are 2 circumstances. One is when the erring brother or sister is not under our authority. They're accountable to others. Related to this is when we do not have a relationship with the one who is strayed in doctrine or behavior. This leads me to some comments about how spiritual leaders are to rebuke. Ephesians 4, verse 15 instructs us to speak the truth in love. On this point, I would suggest that when we choose to overlook sinful behavior or the teaching of doctrine that's not sound, we're not acting in love toward the offending party. Rather, we are abdicating our leadership responsibility. Lastly, Paul instructs spiritual leaders to rebuke with all authority. What does he mean here? All authority is delegated from God, and those of us who are in authority are accountable to God. In closing, James chapter 5, verse 20 says this, "Whoever turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sins." Next time we will continue our study of steward leadership. This has been a word of encouragement for village church planters and leaders.